I'm Insomniac, and this is the Baltic Aquascaphe Classic. Alright, finally taking a look at a Baltic piece on this channel. I've actually had my eyes on these for a while, but they haven't come in until now. Big shout out to Steve for sending this in brand new for me to check out. Before we dive in, quick note, all of the watch specs are now down in the video description. And that's it. Let's get into the watch. On most watches I review here, the dial is the main event of the watch. But with this piece, the case shares the stage equally in my opinion. You have a carefully machined, slim, handsome stainless steel case with a slim height, short lug to lug length, and a great vintage aesthetic, but with modern dive watch features like a nice screw down case back, screw down crown, and unidirectional rotating bezel. The bezel insert is sapphire on this watch, and you have these subtle cream colored markers and small numerals with a triangle marker up over the 12. The bezel edge has a fair amount of grip to it, and the bezel action is excellent. Good stiffness without being too hard to turn, and with no slop or play in the mechanism when adjusting it. So it has a good quality feel. The crown here is beautiful. It's large, has a Baltic B embossed into the face, and it has excellent grip for winding or quickly setting the watch. I found it to be enjoyable to use every time I put on the watch. Overall, it's just a fantastic case, one that complements the handsome vintage aesthetic of the watch as a whole. Very nice. Under the double-domed sapphire crystal, you have a dial that's understated and simple, but beautiful at the same time. First of all, it's worth noting that this is the black and cream version, and the cream refers to the color you see here for the lume. It gives the dial and bezel a great vintage aged look. A cool touch here is that this is actually a sandwich dial, and even though the only cutouts are the triangles for 3, 6, and 9, it does add another subtle layer of depth to the dial. At the outermost edge of the dial you have a simple white printed minute track, which is slightly magnified by the beveled edge of the crystal. Then you have the hour markers with a 12 numeral up top, then simple circles and triangles for the rest, the triangles highlighting the quarter hours. The only text on the dial is the printed brand name below the 12, and then the series and water resistance rating above the 6. Lastly, we have the handset, which is perfect for this dial. It's beautifully polished, the shape of all three hands complement the hour markers and overall aesthetic just right. The hands are the perfect lengths for this dial, with the minute and second hands stretching all the way out to the minute track, and all three hands have cream colored lume filling to match the hour and bezel markers flawlessly. The whole dial is simple and pleasing to the eye, and has just the right amount of vintage aesthetic to be charming without looking dated. The lume on this watch has some positives and negatives. On the positives column, everything that you'd want to have lume has lume. All of the bezel markers, hour markers, and hands have lume filling. All of it glows fairly evenly, and it lasts a good while on a full charge. The negative is that, with the exception of the hands, all of the lume is fairly dim, although to be fair, despite the fact that this watch is rated at 200 meters for water resistance, I'm sure this isn't going to be anybody's main staple tool watch for serious dives, so it's more than good enough to tell the time in low light situations on a decent charge. Time at a glance on this watch is excellent. It's a simple, uncluttered dial, the hands and markers all have amazing contrast against the black backdrop, and the sharp-tipped hands are the perfect length for this dial, so it's very easy to find the exact time on this watch at a quick glance. The strap on this watch is another excellent complement to the piece as a whole. It's listed on the Baltic site as a tropic rubber strap. It has a subtle texture to it that at a glance almost reminds me of an old cloth pattern, and you have these small diamond-shaped holes throughout the length of the strap, which add a bit of ventilation and also cleverly double as the size holes for the tang to go through. The buckle is small and nicely polished with the Baltic brand engraved into it, and you only have one free loop, but it works perfectly, keeping the excess strap in place all day without wandering off. I found this strap to be really comfortable right out of the box, and in the weeks that I've been wearing it, the strap shows no signs of wear, so it's a great strap for this watch. Last but not least, we have value. As of the time of this video, this watch is for sale on the Baltic site for, what was it here, 580 pounds, which is about 660 US dollars. Now, can you find similarly styled dive watches on the market for less than that? Definitely, but there are a couple things you should consider. One, being that besides the lume, I literally couldn't find one thing about this entire watch that was subpar. The other thing is that Baltic has a growing cult following, and they are known for a certain level of quality, which makes them a good value now, but I dare to say that these watches might, and again, this is just a prediction, but at some point wind up becoming collectible, which in the future could also equal a good investment. So for what these sell for, based on my experience with this watch and the time that I've had it here, I honestly think that's a very good value for the money. To see my review on another interesting dive watch at around the same price point, click here.